high strategic sword and Heaven Breaker Spear does impressive damage per hit while maintain your agility in combat because you don't want to use low damage weapons like Twin Blade, Umbrella, or Fan. The Heaven Breaker Spear is one of the highest damage weapons in this game, but just very slow. But it can compensate with your sword's agility, because sword provides you speed and flexibility that can compensate your spear's slow problems. And this build is combo driven and keep switching between sword and your spear. Because I don't want to make this video too long for you, so I will expand based on the combo first. So I'll start with the PVE, then expand the combo on the PvP. Okay, so let's go. So we are now arrived in this beautiful farmland. So let me start with the PVE combo. So your sword can cause your opponent to bleed, and the bleed improve your spear performance. So you want to use your sword to bleed your opponent's all types. Then switch to your spear and utilize the sword bleed to improve your spear, and use your spear as your main DPS to deliver damage. So now let's start with the strategic sword. So your out skills can cause opponent to bleed. So this dash to your opponents and apply bleed counter to your opponents, and also your Q skill. So this martial arts skill also deliver bleed, apply bleed to your opponent. So this is what we need for our spear. So remember, our skill and Q skill both apply bleed to your opponents. So your opponents, it causes your opponent to take damage over time. Then after you using our skill and Q skill to bleed your opponent, then you have to switch to your Heaven Breaker Spear. So your Heaven Breaker Spear, these Q skills utilize the bleed counter from your sword. So look at this one, the spear actually swinging multiple times hitting your opponents. So you get bonus based on the number of hits applied to your opponents. Let's say if you swing and hit 5 times, let's say if you hit 5 times, you get this water drop buff. Then if you use your dash skill from your spear, so if you increase your damage, so if you deal moderate damage, let's say if you hit more than 5 times, you get this Spring Surge. If you have the Spring Surge, you use this dash skill, so it can increase damage and attack range and reduce the defense of the hit targets. Let's say if more than 10 times, this one, if you swing, use a Q skill to swing and hit opponents more than 10 times, so it will deliver the highest stage, which is the river flow. So if you have the river flows, you immediately use your this dash special skill, so it can further increase the damage to the maximum of this skill. And this also apply big counter like the sword. You can see this one, it actually, if you hit the highest counter, you are in the river flow stage. It will also apply big counter from this spear skill. So look at this Q skill. If you are wearing this Innerway called Wolf Chaser art, it actually gives you more hit counter than normal. So if you go back to your, if you go to my this Innerway, you can see actually I'm wearing this. So this is very important. You need to have this Wolf Chaser art. You can see this one is improve your HQ spear. So it actually deliver more hit counter if you have this one, this Innerway. So it tell you that when you hit a boss with big effects, that means the big effect from your sword. So with this Wolf Chaser art, so when you hit a boss with the bleed effect from you, there's a chance, this chance to increase the combo counter for your spear skill. So it means that if you go back to this one, you see if you swinging this one, you get, let's say 5 hits or 10 hits, right? Let's say if you have this Innerways, so and your opponent is already in bleed, so you use this swing Q skill, you will get more hit counter. So you can very easily get more than 10 hits to get this river flow, which apply to your this dash skill. Then you can maximize your spear damage. So after you use this spear dash skill to utilize the hit combo, you get the maximum damage. Then you no longer need the big counter. You can switch back to your strategic sword and use your this dash special skill. So this one you will explore the big counter. You delete all the 5 big counter and deliver a massive amount of bonus damage. So this is basically how the combo. So as a summary, you can see that. So you need this Innerway, this rough tracer art in order to, let's say in your opponent is already in bleed, you get more counter for your spear skill. So you start with your strategic sword. So this R skill, charge to the opponents, charge this one. Then you apply the bleed counter to your opponents. Then continue to stack up your bleed counter with this Q skill. So this also apply bleed counter. So you want a max bleed counter, 5 counter on your opponent. So when you have this R skill and Q skill, then immediately switch to your spear. So the spear, you need to use this Q skill first. So this one, when the opponent is already in bleed, so you use this skill to swing and hit the opponents. So you have this Innerway, so you can get more hit count. So when you have more hit count, you get this river flows, which is the highest buff for your spear. So when you have this higher buff for your spear, then you can switch to your spear, dash skill, special skill, and apply this skill to get the highest river flows, increase damage effects, which maximize your spear. Then go back to your sword again. Use this dash sword special skill to explore the bleed counter and close the combat. So that's basically the mechanism behind the bleed from the sword. Then use it for the spear to improve the combo. Then go back to your sword, explore the bleed counter. So this is basically the combo, how it is. So in the summary for the boss fight and PVE fight, so first is your sword R skill with the charge skill to apply bleed counter and dash to opponent. Then second, use your sword Q skill, your martial arts skill to continue apply bleed counter. Then press that to switch to your spear. Then use your spear Q skill to swing and develop the combo. Then continue to use your spear dash skill, which is a special skill to explore the combo. Then press the tab again to switch back to sword. Then use the sword dash skill, special skill to explore the bleed counter. So that's all about the boss combo. Okay, so hope it won't confuse you. So look at this one again. We use sword to apply bleed counter. Then that change to the spear. Then use a spear to swing to develop the combo. Then use a spear to get the maximum buff to use your spear special skill. Then use a that to switch back to your sword to explore the counter with your sword dash skill, which is your special skill. So this is how basically the combo it is. So this is for PVE. In PVE, it is very different. You cannot follow your PVE because you don't have the luxury times to develop a full bleed rotations. Because most of the time it will be very messed up. So there's another combo for your PvP. So this one for your PvP, you always need to use your spear R skill. Because this one delivers super damage and is very good for your PvP. So you can look at this one, the R skill, it actually needs to charge up and hit multiple times to your opponent. But there's a problem. This skill requires a lot of the animation time to initiate this trusting skill. So you need to have something like a crowd control or need to stun your opponent first before you can charge up your spear and do this multiple hitting skill. So the timing is very important. So once you successfully apply this R skill, this charge skill, the damage is very, very satisfying. So this is part of the fun from this PvP build. Due to the mechanics is too long to explain, I will make another video for this combo explanations. I put it in another video here. You can check out my channels. So there will be a full guide on how to train this combo, and I will fully explain how to. There's a 10 point, what's the difficulty for this combo, and how to train yourself within 2 hours to master all this PvP combo of this Heaven Quest Spear combined with your strategy sword. So for the time being, I will briefly explain the concept in this video only. So basically, there's 3 ways for you to use this R skill. There's 3 conditions you need to prepare to stun your opponent, to crowd control or surprise the opponent in order to use this R charge skill. So the first one is with your Mystic free Morph skill. So this skill you apply the free Morph to fight your opponent to the A, then quickly use your E parry skill. Then you have to use your mouse key, mouse scroll down to switch to your spear and charge up your spear and deliver this hard charge skill. So free Morph, parry, then use a spear charge skill. So this one you stun your opponent first, then it allows you the time to charge up your spear and apply this charge R skill. Then the second one is use it immediately after the Serene Breeze. Because when your opponent is hitting you with the combo, you can press the Serene Breeze to stop and temporarily stun your opponent for a very short period. Then it allows you a pocket time to charge your R skill and deliver this charging skill. Then the third condition is a surprise attack. You can use your sword R charge skill to charge your opponents. So this combo you start with your sword R skills, charge to the opponent, then use a parry skill, E skill to animation cut. Then quickly use your mouse, scroll down, scroll your mouse to switch the weapon to spear, then use the spear charge skill. So it's very important that sometimes you use your deck to switch the weapons. Sometimes you have to use your mouse, because when you use your deck, it will deliver an attack associated with your switchings. But if you use your mouse, to switch the weapons, you don't deliver the attack, it will switch immediately. So there's condition that you need to use your this tab key in the keyboard. There's condition that you need to use your this mouse scroll buttons to switch your weapons. Then what happened after the R charge skill? So if you manage to apply all these three conditions, so you manage to deliver this spear charge skill. So what is next? So when you apply this R skill, your opponent is being stunned. So you continue to use your spear Q skill, spear special skill, then use a dash to switch to your sword, then use your sword Q skill and your sword dash skill. So this one will close the combo. You can go as far as you can as long as your opponent is being stunned. So this is basically the full combo. So the first part is give you a pocket time to apply your spear charge skill. Then the second part, after your spear charging attack skill, then continue with whatever you have in your hands and to complete your combo. So look at this one, the full combo in PvP. So the sword R skill, parry animation cut, then mouse scroll switch weapons, spear R skill, then continue with your spear Q skill, spear special skill, then that to switch to your sword, then with your sword Q skill and sword special skill. So this is basically how the rotations for the PvP. So this requires a lot of practice, and don't worry, I've made another video on how to train these combos and make it in a very simple way, and I have slowed it down and explain step by step by demonstrations, and make sure you can practice this one by yourself. Then now back to the Innerway. So what I'm wearing for this build, the first is the Morale Chance. This is a must-have. Then the sword, of course, you need the sword horizons. So this one will give you a crisscrossing attack. So you will have more. So you will have more animation hit for your this strategic sword. Then I'm using this Wolf Trader art. So this one is compulsory for your HQ spear to build more counter. Then also I'm using this 5-fold blade. For this one, you will buy a 5-stack of the Whipping Splash, and then it deals piercing damage. So this is basically my Innerway. So the missing skills, I'm using the 12-stack because I want to fight to the opponents for immediate attacks. So I'm using this Drunken Poets pairing up with my Dragon Breath. So when I had alternate to Dragon Breath, then immediately use my Drunken Poet. Then I'm also using this free Morph. So this is your pre-skill for your spear charge skill. Then and this Serene Breeze, this is also your pre-skill for your spear charge skill. So the next one, I also use this Meridian Touch, then the Dragon Breath, then the Golden Body for some healings for my this PVE. Then the last one is my quest skill. Let's say depending on the boss I want to fight. That's all about the video. So, and I'm not the expert in this game. There's a lot of good players who use this one to climb up the top ladder. So I'm still training. So this is basically what I learned from the top PvP player by watching their videos and practice myself. So this is a real a combo practice demonstrated by a top PvP players by others but not me. I'm still training myself, so I hope this video will give you some helps on how to master this build. So that's all. Bye. Thank you for watching.